because I think that the bark adds a lot. But just to be able to see where all of the muscling is and sort of track the sap flow, I'm gonna go ahead and clean the bark. It'll come back, as do juniper's bark, but understanding and making sure that they're still visible from the front, because that interaction of the live and dead is really where the value is. When you have dead wood, if you don't have live wood, it starts to be less valuable. On over into here, just gonna see what we have here. So is this alive is the question. No, that's alive there, so there's a live vein, as I see it. This is the one right here that interacts with all of the dead wood. Go ahead and I'm going to keep all of this in here because it all could be funneling into that live vein there. And I'm going to keep it on this high side of the trunk right here so that we have this sort of anchoring the design. And that means that everything from here over is going to be deadwood. All of this is going to be killed off, turned to deadwood. And then that area, so we're going to get something else interesting because we also have this area coming up through here, which is going to be deadwood now, if we take all of this off. And I still think that taking this off is our best solution to the tree. And that means that all of this is dead. Okay, so when we tear this tissue, and I start in these regions, I really want to let the tissue tear from the top down and let it dictate its own path as it moves to the roots, because I don't want to tell the resources where to go. I want the tree to go ahead and set itself up for the most direct movement of resources in the tissue. So that's where I'm in here. I'm not actually cutting the lines into the tissue. I'm letting it tear on its own so that I keep these live veins intact that are feeding the portion of the tree that I need to survive. So once I start from above and I tear that, I always start a little bit outside of where I think the living tissue is. I'm following the fissures of the bark. I start outside of it and I can just reduce back, but I'm letting the tissue tear itself. I'm not actually cutting the line for the tissue to create the live vein. I'm not trying to tell the tree where to go. Okay, so I'm going to use the fissure in the bark as kind of my guide to separate the two live veins. And I'm just going to insert my tool right along the edge of that bark and just use, now we see that crack between the bark, form that line, and I'm just going to stay on that and scoop into the living tissue right there. So I'm going to go ahead and just follow that line as it's defined itself, dig into that living tissue, kind of scoop it up and let it tear itself. And that line that's forming, that's my guide, so I can continue to just sort of take that necking down of the line to enhance and expand the deadwood. And then all of this intermediate stuff I can go ahead and take out and work back.